and action. In an attempt to make my life a little bit easier and more conducive, we are now running the stream a different way, running the podcast, a different way. And I hope this works out. Welcome to episode 5 of Rent Free with Tech Supreme, and my phone ringing. Episode 5. I got to get the episodes right before I start, right? Hold on a second. Episode 5, yeah. My notes are mislabeled because episode 4 was actually just me off the top of my head talking about New Orleans. Thank you for checking out Rent Free with Tech Supreme. If you're listening to this, my name is Tech Supreme. I am your host,
Tech Supreme,
and this is a podcast which is basically, just in case you have not been listening, it's about 10 things that I want to talk about randomly. So let's get right into it. I like podcasts to be fairly painless and kind of simple. So this was like a 20-minute, 30-minute podcast at most. So just, keep that in mind. Hopefully the audio is good. I'm using a different way to record, so you'll have to forgive me. Now, the first thing I want to talk about is white tears, which is, we know what, black people, you know what it is. White tears is basically when people weaponize their tears, when white people, women specifically, use their tears as weapons. And we definitely saw that this week in the Karen from Victoria's Secret. Now, I don't like Karen, I don't like colonizer for two reasons. One, it's being used a lot, and it kind of takes away the fact that they're being racist. It kind of a euphemism, if you will. And I don't like that at all. I'd rather you just call them racist, a racist woman in Victoria's Secret, or, racist Lindsay Shaw. Like, that sounds a little bit more accurate than Karen. I just feel like I saw a TikTok where the guy was talking about, like, oh yeah, they went hard when it came to coming up with racial names for black people. Like, they went hard. We need to get in our bag on this one and come up with better names than Karen and colonizer. I like Clancy, because that lets you know exactly what they are. Like, Clancy is perfect. The Karen is definitely a euphemism, and you can see it's how it's being used as such. But yeah, we had the Victoria's Secret incident in which basically this white woman attacked a black woman, and then as soon as she realized she was being filmed, she starts crying hysterically. Now, it is funny, right? To see a woman completely lose her own shit is funny, but the basis of that episode that we saw, that fit that we saw, the whole situation from top to bottom is indicative of the black experience in America. Now, what I mean by this is you have a white woman attacking a black woman until she's on camera, until she realizes she's being filmed, she has a fit. Now, the reason she has a fit is because basically she's saying during her fit that this black woman's attacking her, but clearly we see that she's attacked the black woman. But the interesting thing to me is not the woman who's freaking out, right? It's the people around. It's the other white customers who are telling the black woman that she needs to leave. That doesn't make any fucking sense. Obviously, you guys are seeing this, but they're not addressing the white woman who's completely out of pocket. They're addressing the black woman who's trying to document her attack. Basically, she didn't really defend herself. She didn't fight back because she knows what happened if she fights back. All of a sudden, cops will shoot her or some crazy shit. They'll find a way. But yeah, their reaction was to basically shoo off the black woman as if she's the one who's causing the problem, not the actual problem, which is going unkept, if you will. So I thought that was super fucked up. But another thing that is indicative of the black experience is when the police did show up and the mall security did show up, they didn't do anything. They literally said, "I can't do anything." We know that's not true. We know that mall security and the police officers have that's really their job, is to remove people who are acting like that. And they didn't. They refused to. And even after the fact, after the incident, she goes to the police station, and the police officer is like, "Oh, I don't even want to see the footage." And that is literally the black experience. Like, it's literally, that whole episode is literally what it's like being black in America. You're attacked, you're blamed. And it doesn't matter what you do, what evidence you have. They don't even care. I thought that was insane. And again, like, the reason why she's acting like this is because she knows her life is ruined, because Like, we're not taking that shit anymore. 2021 is not, is we see these videos, we're going in. On Karen, on TikTok, you know, we're gonna find you. Like, we're gonna find out who you are. You just know there's freedom of speech, absolutely, but now there are consequences for your actions and your words. Now you have to, now you're gonna be held liable. You realize now that you can't be a white privileged asshole. Yeah, so I love the fact that we all have cameras is what is one of the things that is bringing a lot more light to racism, and the simple technological advancement of cell phones is the reason why we're now able to see more. Because trust and believe, cops will turn their body cam off. They don't even give a fuck about that shit. That's just not even a fucking factor. They turn that shit off so quick. What happened? I don't know. So, there's another incident, and I forgot what state this is in. Obviously, a Midwestern state, because that's where all the racists live. Just kidding, not. Espresso Alamo, they refused service to a man who had a Black Lives Matter pin on. That's racist. That's fucked up. They doubled down on it too, which makes it even worse. And then you have the Lindsay Shaw incident on TikTok, where she's making fun of black creators. So here's the thing, and it's interesting because people like to throw stones and hide hands. So Lindsay Shaw makes this video making fun of black creators. And sure, okay, you did that. But where it gets really racist is in the comment section of that video. Apparently it got super racist. I saw a TikTok where it had screenshots of it, so I was able to read some of them. Of course, Lindsay Shaw deleted it. But at that point, the damage is done. Congratulating her white friend for doing the dance, but then slamming the creators of the dance. And then that fake apology, like, sorry, you're offended apology. It's, you know, with and accompanied by the white tears, you know, the white weapons, the white tear weapons. So yeah, I feel no fucking remorse for Lindsay Shaw. Fuck her, and fuck her two co-mates, her television show co-workers, and the black guy. Fuck you all the way, dude. You're a literal joke for that. Like, even if you don't think someone is racist, like, for you to get on your camera and make fun of black people in an attempt to protect your friend is the corniest cornball fucking shit I've ever seen, ever heard. Insane. You definitely should be ashamed of yourself. But yeah, moving on, the Delta variant. Now, COVID-19. It's back, I guess. Delta variant is spreading like wildfire. People who aren't vaccinated are getting sick. Some rare cases of people who are vaccinated are getting sick. Some countries are going to lockdown. And I think, you know, if we as a country get locked down again, it's all fault. 100% all fault. I've been trying my best to wear masks everywhere I go. A couple times I've forgotten. I feel like a real asshole for not wearing my mask. I get looked at funny for wearing my mask. People aren't wearing masks anymore. They're kind of off of that. When I traveled to Mexico with my wife, everyone was wearing masks. You had to wear masks at all time inside of a building, unless you were actively eating or drinking. Airports, of course, you still have to wear a mask, but everywhere else you don't have to wear a mask. And it's kind of insane how fast people forgot that we need to wear masks and we need to sanitize our hands and protect ourselves. Not just for you, but for the people who are even more susceptible to the COVID-19, especially with the Delta variant running around. So I just think people seem to totally forget very quickly for whatever reasons. And, you know, maybe this time last year, there was a quiet war between maskers and anti-maskers. And it seems like as soon as the restrictions were lifted, everyone was like, oh, we're on the same side, no mask. And I kind of feel like maybe you should wear your mask still. Maybe you should worry about your hand sanitization. But what do I know? I just know that I said to myself last year that I'm going forward, I'm going to try to wear a mask as much as possible, regardless if we're in a pandemic or not, regardless of a Delta variant. I actually, you know, back before anything about a pandemic, you would see Asian people with their masks on and always wondered why. And now that I understand it, now I'm kind of on board with that. You know, just always wearing your mask. And honestly, even if it cuts down on catching the flu, it's just a thing that it's not that hard. And it's kind of fly to me. I like wearing my mask, especially when I got my sunglasses on. Like, you can't see my face at all. Like, I like that type of shit. I don't know why, because I'm a weirdo, but I think it looks cool. So that is what it is. You know, if you don't want to wear a mask, that's fine. You don't want to get vaccinated, fuck you, right? I mean, that's it, right? Like, if you don't want to wear a mask, fine, roll the dice, right? Roll the dice on yourself and your loved ones, whatever. I'm gonna wear my mask. You don't want to get vaccinated, that's fine, but you're an asshole, right? Like, fuck you, right? Just, you have your beliefs. I get it, right? I totally get it. You still drink Coca-Cola, but I totally get that you don't want the vaccine, but fuck you, right? It's like, whatever. But I don't care either, because I'm vaccinated and I'm wearing my mask. So whatever you do is what you do. Like, rest in peace. Here for a good time, not a long time, right? Cool. Now on to some news that I really enjoy. The NBA Finals is here. And I'm not a fan of either one of these teams, Milwaukee Bucks or the Phoenix Suns. I want to see Chris Paul get a ring. That's pretty much my only reason for leaning towards Phoenix getting a championship. And I like Booker. I like Ayton. I like McCall. Campaign. What's the guys with the fro look like Sideshow Bob? I like him. He got a nice jumper. I think it's Cam Johnson. Yeah, dude, I like that team. But I don't know. This is one of those things that home team is not dominated, but won each game. So we might just have to go to 7 and see who can win game 7. But we'll see tomorrow on who, like, if the Suns can win this game, then the burden is going to be definitely on Milwaukee. Obviously, right? There'll be 3-2, but right now it's 2-2. I don't know. It looks like the Suns didn't have an answer for Giannis these last couple games. You know, like, I don't know what that's about. Like, I don't know if they can. Maybe Giannis and Middleton want it more. This is an interesting series because either way it goes, you're going to get a new young talent who's going to win a championship this year between Giannis and Booker. And they both are deserving. They both work hard. Both teams are deserving. And I think it's a good break to not have LeBron James in the finals. I know, like, that's kind of blasphemy to say, and I'm a huge LeBron James fan. At some point today, I will be watching the new Space Jam because it comes out today. Now, side note, I watched Space Jam, the original one, last night, yesterday while I worked. Absolute garbage. Absolutely horrible movie. There's no way Space Jam will not be better than that. The new Space Jam will 100% be better than that because that movie that everyone holds on to is a great movie because it's Michael Jordan is absolute trash. Now, maybe it worked back then. I was a fan back then. It worked. But now, today, 2021, trash. Horrible movie. And some movies from back in the day, they hold up. But that's one of the worst basketball movies I've ever seen. He Got a Game holds up. White Man Can't Jump holds up. I just ran out of basketball movies in my head, but I'm sure I've seen more. I've definitely seen more. But yeah, Space Jam does not hold up. But I think the new one will because it's LeBron James and the graphics are going to look insane. It's going to be a good story. As long as it's not that original movie, it's going to be good. Now back to the finals. I'm excited about Game 5. We'll see what happens. I want the Suns to win, but if the Bucks want it more, the Bucks just want it more. As a lifelong New York Knicks fan, and I'm no longer a New York Knicks fan because I don't live in New York anymore, New Jersey, and it's just really hard to be a Knicks fan. They taught me a lesson in the 90s that if you want a team to win, don't put your emotion involved in it because it's one of those things that you can't control. So, like, there's no point in getting too upset. I used to get upset at the Knicks losing to the Pacers, to the Bulls, everyone else in the East, even to the Houston Rockets when they actually, made it to the finals. You can't control it, so don't get too wrapped up into the emotions of sports. Understand that you want a team to win, but they may not, and that's fine too. Don't let it ruin your day. It used to really fuck with me when I, like, even in sports, I used to get really really into it when it came to watching sports and wanting a team to win. But now I'm just like, at a certain point, I'm into it, but then I pull myself back. Like, there's nothing you can really control about this situation. Like, nothing you can do about it. They're going to do what they're going to do, and it's a fun game. Just enjoy it. So I think I enjoy it better because of that. Yeah. So moving on, another thing that's going on right now is the Millionaires Going to Space, which I think is really stupid. That's pretty much like, it's not too much to say about Millionaires Going to Space. I'm Jeff Bezos, the guy who owns the Virgin Atlantic, whatever, going up into space. And, they're paying millions of dollars to go to space, to take a quick flight up to over the atmosphere and coming back down. And that's cool and all. But yeah, we got homeless people. And I hate whataboutisms, but it just seems like so many people waste so much money and then walk over people who have nothing. And I think that's weird. I think it's weird. But just for like, hey, $1 million experience, I guess. And I guess that's fine. I was looking at something about a history of Silver Surfer, and their world, Norrin Rand's world, created like this utopia. And honestly, if it wasn't for greed and just villain shit, right? Like people want world domination. Like we should be living in a utopia. Like why do some certain things exist? And like we're just a human race. Like there's no reason why like we haven't set up the world to all be like super chill. But I don't know. That's like some science fiction shit. But if you really think about it, like we've created a society that's so harmful to the world, to each other, to the actual Earth, and like maybe it didn't have to be like this, right? Like man created money and these systems, and we just kill each other for it, and we all like, I don't know. It's kind of crazy when you think about it. I'm not high either. It's like it's morning time. I'm super sober. Like I know these are just the weird kind of thoughts that I have. Like, why don't we live in a utopia? Like, why isn't there utopian places? Like, why? Like, what is this? What is all this that we're doing? But it's just what we created. So I guess we got to roll with it. But millionaires going to space. I mean, that's kind of the reasons why. Like, you'll never have we have homelessness. You know how much homeless like shit you can save, and how many people in need that you can save with one of these space trips? That's stupid. That's stupid. But whatever, right? And speaking of space, unidentified flying objects. Now, if you know me, you know that I believe in aliens. I do. If you don't, it's kind of a weird thing that you think the universe is so big, but you're so important, right? The government is really doing a lot of UFO talking and saying how real it is. And I may have touched about this on a previous episode. I actually did. On episode 1, we talked about it. But I saw an interesting theory about how UFOs and aliens are, they think the government's trying to create an event going forward that would allow them to get more power. So like more unification of the world under their system. It's interesting. Don't know how much I believe it, but it's something to look out for. And I'm a big UFO guy. And one day I'll tell a story about why I feel like I was abducted by aliens. And I know that you're like, what? That's a huge story. It's dumb to some people, but to me, it's super real. So that's that on that. Yeah, let me know if you think aliens are real or not. I think they're real. I think it's ignorant not to think that. You're ignorant. But I do believe the government would do some shit like, oh, there's UFOs. Like listen to us more or do something. There's gonna be something weird, but it's interesting theory. Now, one of the things I want to talk about is the baby. I'm a fan of the baby. I know he raps one style, but that's cool. I like his style. I like the beats he picks. I like his hooks. He's fun to watch. He killed someone in Walmart defending his family. I respect that. He did a thing where these 2 kids approached him and they was trying to sell candy. And he asked them how much for a piece of candy. He said $2 for a piece of candy. And then he's like, well, shit, how much for the whole box? And the 2 kids, they both said up $200. That sent off his red flags. And he was like, well, how many are in there? And I think they said 38 are in each box. And he was like, well, how much money is that if you add it up? He walked them through the math. It was like $65, $60, something like that. And he was like, why would I buy that for $200? You're trying to hustle me, and I'm gonna teach y'all a lesson. And now, like, I would have given you a lot more for the candy, like a lot more. I would have blessed you if you didn't have lied to me and try to extort me out of more money because I'm the baby. So now I'm only gonna buy 1 piece of candy. And although it's a good lesson, but I'm just not sure he should have filmed it and put it online. But either way it goes, I'm not mad at the baby for this. A lot of people are kind of on the fence. It's kind of a topic of debate this week on like, was he wrong for that? Like, no, he's not wrong. As a business owner, I can't do that. Like, as a business owner, I can't charge 2 people different prices. If they ever were to talk, then I'd be a biggest asshole and I would lose not 1, but possibly 2 customers. So you can never, ever do that in business. And trust me, clients do talk. They know each other. I live in a city where they probably know each other, especially if they're a promoter or they own a business and they're talking to someone else like, oh, you got yours from Tech? Yeah, I got mine from Illustrious and blah, blah, blah. And, they'll talk about price. Like, oh, like, and when I started out, super adamant because people were like, oh, can I get a hookup? It's like, I would always say, no, you can't get a hookup. Everyone has to pay the same rate. Everyone has to pay the same price. It is what it is. And I don't fold or bend. Same thing with business. Now, if a company approaches me, this is the only time I feel like as a graphic designer, it's acceptable to charge more. If a big corporation comes to me, I'm going to charge more, right? They're going to get more return. Honestly, as a graphic designer, you should be fluctuating your prices based on the amount of business you're going to get that company. But that's a different story. I like to consider myself a mom and pop store of graphic design in my city. So I want to be fair, but like obviously, like if a company comes, they're going to have bigger demands. There's going to be more rules involved in the design process, and more is at stake. So they're going to get charged more. Corporations will get charged more, but like mom and pop, like operations, like small businesses, I'm not going to. And which is 95% of my clients, I'm never going to fluctuate charging. Like it is what it is. Now I did just raise my rates 50%, and everyone was on board with it because the product I'm giving you is worth way more than even that. So it's a good lesson to baby taught the kids, but a lesson that they definitely I'm not sure should have been used to kind of put the kids down or humiliate the kids online, especially with the audience as big as the baby. I would have liked that lesson to have been something that he just taught them, because I'm not sure if that lesson even translates well to the rest of the world, right? Like to the rest of the people who watched it. So not sure. Okay, next topic. Normally I like to do 10 topics, but today I'm only going to do 8, and I'm already at 20 minutes, so this is kind of perfect that I, didn't have the last 2 topics. Even though I asked Facebook, and I think I'm going to pull one from Facebook. I asked Facebook what I should do as far as 2 more topics, and I got some interesting answers, so I might pull that up real quick while I talk to you and see if I can get some extra feedback on what to talk about. So my next topic that I do want to talk about is Black Widow. Now, spoilers. If you didn't see Black Widow, I'm gonna try not to spoil it. So I'm not gonna give any big plot details. I just want to talk about how I felt about the movie, and then maybe in the future I'll talk about like a big spoiler version of how I feel about Black Widow. But I like the movie. I think it's a good movie. I think it's a solid movie. I don't think it's on the level of what people expect from MCU right now, but I think it's still a good movie. It would have been much better if it came out earlier. I would have definitely liked it even if it came out before Natasha Romanoff's character was killed off. Obviously now with what happened at the next thing I'm going to talk about at the end of Loki, they made it's very easy for them to bring people back. But, as far as the movie is concerned, I love the characters. I love the character Yelena. I think that's an awesome character going forward. I love Red Guardian. Well, I forgot his name. The guy who plays Hopper. He's amazing. Phone call, excuse me, sorry. He was amazing. So the storyline was kind of the villain was kind of I think it's amazing that the movie is based off of like this character's past that we're kind of unsure about, right? We don't know anything about, but then like Loki mentioned it in Avengers about Dreykov's daughter, and I thought that was amazing how they tied that in. Like the MCU just has a way of tying things together that makes so much sense in a cinematic way. Definitely enjoyed that. And that Natasha Romanoff, Scarlett Johansson's Black Widow is a solid superhero. You kind of get a little bit more of her motivation, but I feel like they could have fleshed that out a little bit more in the beginning. But as a overall, it was a good movie. It's a good movie, and I definitely recommend seeing it. Definitely recommend buying it if you're a collector of the MCU movies like I am. Definitely worth seeing in theaters or Disney Plus. Fuck it. I hope they keep that going, but I don't think they will. But the option to watch movies at home that you normally would go to the movie theaters, I think that's awesome. I think it's worth the $30 that they charge for it. Especially if you can watch it over and over again. I think that's dope. I won't do that. I'll probably just wait until I'll probably go to movie theaters and see it one more time, and then wait till it comes on digital to buy, and I'll probably just buy it. But worth a look especially if you like Marvel. It's a good action story. It's a good spy thriller, which is basically what it is. I do have a problem with one of the villains, the way they portrayed the villain through the movie. Obviously, they did a little character switcheroo on us, but that's neither here nor there. It's a good movie. Now, my last thing I want to talk about before I get into these Facebook kind of topics was something that I might do every episode, which is write down 8 things that I'm thinking about, and then 2 that people on my Facebook want to talk about. So this last thing that I got is Loki. Now we just saw the season finale of Loki, and it was everything. And I was on Tasty Steve's stream with Sketch Sawyer, and we were talking about it on Monday night, and we're talking about our expectations for the finale. And I was right, and I was wrong. I said vehemently, I don't know, fuck that word up. But I said it that Jonathan Majors would not appear. And spoilers if you didn't see it, by this point, it's been out a few days. Hopefully you saw it. But they were teasing Kang the Conqueror. This whole series was teasing it, and I didn't think they were going to do it. I didn't think they were going to put him in here, and they did, and they did it gloriously. And it was such good acting. Jonathan Majors is such an amazing actor, and the ending had me emotional, and it had me excited for Phase 4. This is the most excitement I've had for a phase since Thanos was teased. With the fine, I'll do it myself, because I grew up on Infinity Saga as a kid. Like, I remember reading it as a kid. So super exciting about what Marvel has in store. Tom Hiddleston is an amazing actor. The woman who plays Sylvie, which is, her name escapes me, she's amazing. Jonathan Majors stole the show, and Miss Minutes is an intimidating villain to be in a cartoon. It's gonna be it's gonna be a good time to be a Marvel fan. Season 2 is confirmed. They confirmed season 2, which I think this is gonna be the first Disney Plus show with multiple seasons that they talked about, and I thought that was pretty fucking exciting. And I went and watched Avengers this week, and I'm watching Age of Ultron now, and just watching the growth of Loki is kind of insane. And as an actor, he just kind of nails it, and he kind of he's the first villain that I felt in a continued universe that was actually good. He was the first villain that I think Marvel cut their teeth on, right? As far as like, oh, you can get in depth with a villain because they had more time to prepare. And I think they took that note and they gave it to Thanos and Killmonger, in specific, because like they were able to make a relatability to the villains. And I think you got that in Loki first, right? Like, you can see Loki is scorned by his parents' love, right? Like, and Odin's the worst father. It's Odin's fault that Loki's like this. But some would argue that it's destined to be like that since he's a Loki, but it's definitely Odin's fault. Because all Loki wanted was validation. And that was kind of his motivation. And you kind of learn that. We know so much about the character because the way they've used him during the years, it exposes so much of who he is at his core. He's this hurting child. And this Loki that we get in the show is the maturation. I don't know if I use that right, but like Loki maturing and like becoming more. We saw his maturation. I'm definitely not sure if I'm using that word right, but we saw him get much more mature during Endgame, or no, during Infinity War, leading up to Infinity War. With by the end of Ragnarok, he was like more so of a hero than ever before, and he in this essence died a hero. And the Loki that we get is not that hero, but we see, but knowing what happens to Loki. So instead of experiencing it, the Loki that we have, the variant that we have, which is a 2012 variant, he sees it, and that allows that to change him, which is amazing. And the love that a narcissist has for himself is what makes him love more unconditionally, almost. It's interesting. The character development with Loki is by far one of the best character developments of a hero or villain. And that's all I got to say about Loki. Let's see. So my homie, his name is different than I know that it is. Messiah Youssef. Maybe he changed his name. He used to go by Oliver Spartan. He said dating in your 20s versus 30s. And I don't know what that's like because I've been in a committed relationship since my mid 30s. From what I remember, 20s was different because it was a different era. 30s was more online. But I'm out of the game, so it may have changed. If you know, let me know in the comments. And let's see. The homie Byron says picking up more habits and behaviors from our parents than we realize or want to admit. That's an interesting one. It goes back to the Loki variant thing. Like, are you destined to be who you are? Perhaps. There's definitely some things, and I didn't have a best relationship with my mom. There's definitely some things that I knew after I left and living with her that I picked up from her, certain passions that I may not have had if it wasn't for her. So it's very interesting. I don't have too much to talk about on that end. I guess it kind of boils down to what do you believe in as far as like Do you have a predetermined, that's my Amazon going off pretty loud. Do you have a predetermined thought process that's like already instilled in you somehow? Or is it tabula rasa? You start with a blank slate. You are who you are as growth continues, as you learn. And do you pick up things from your parents? I think you do, right? You pick up things all the time. Like when you're raising and you're impressionable and you're just a sponge, you're just picking up things, and that kind of ingrained into your character no matter what. So I think if you it's impossible not to pick up habits and behaviors from people that you've seen while you're in the sponge stage. Even as you get older, you do pick up things and nuances and likes and dislikes that, you know, are absorbed. So I think it's impossible not to. You can have good friendships, strong friendships, and you can pick up habits and behaviors from them. So you can totally pick up habits and behaviors from anybody. That was an interesting question. This last question, unhealed trauma and relationships. And if you talk about it, you're not over it. Simple as that. So I'm not going to talk about that because it's therapy, right? That's the key. Everyone needs to go get therapy. Everybody. My homie Ben always says that if you're over 30, you need therapy. Everyone needs to get a therapist. I need to get one. I'm looking into it. I need to look into it more aggressively. My wife is calling me. She's upstairs. So I will let that actually be the end of the podcast. That's pretty much what I had. Anyway, if you like what you see, hit that follow button on YouTube, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. It means a lot to me. I'm growing. I'm trying to get bigger. I need your help. If you're on TikTok, thank you for watching the video. Hit that follow button, go over to the YouTube, check it out. I talk a lot of shit on Twitter. Holler at me at Twitter at Tech Supreme. Tech Supreme. You know what it is. And, you know, I appreciate your presence. If you have any suggestions for topics next week, go to any of these social media pages and let me know what you think I should talk about. Simple as that. So I love you. Have a good day, and I will see you later. Peace and good night. Rec free.